Welcome to From the VC's Bookshelf, a podcast from TBR, the College System of Tennessee, the state's largest higher education system. In this series, we examine how we might re-envision the work we do and how we work together as we move into a post-pandemic world. Please join our host, Dr. Heidi Lemming, Vice Chancellor for Student Success, as she leads a live discussion with industry experts and leaders throughout our system.
Good afternoon. Excited to have our next podcast kick off with a conversation with Patrick Wade, who is president of TCAT Murfreesboro. Again, the focus of the spring podcast is around themes from the book Failing Forward in Student Affairs, Using Missteps to Guide Next Steps, edited by Lisa Endersby. The book is a compilation of personal stories from higher education practitioners, and all the stories have a common theme in that the authors open up about professional failures. The editor takes a new twist, however, as Endersby states the focus is on failure not as an action, but rather as an emotion, an identity, and a place where everyone seems to find themselves returning to over and over again. So in this podcast series, I'm interviewing TBR faculty and administrators to add to the collection of stories found in the book. I ask them to reflect on missteps that they've identified maybe in themselves that also became teachable moments, and to think about, celebrating effort over perfection and modeling a depth of courage in this conversation. So really sharing their personal story. So with that purpose in mind, I'm inviting all of our listeners to fall forward with us today as I talk to Patrick Wade. Patrick is a native of Tennessee. He graduated from Tennessee Technological University with his bachelor's in finance. He received his Master's of Science from Western Governors in Management and Leadership. His career might be best described as a winding road. As a banker, account executive, career specialist, consultant, counselor, recruiter, and vice president, he's gained knowledge of the job market to extend superior customer service to a diverse population. Again, Patrick currently works with the Tennessee College of Applied Technology at Murfreesboro as their new president. And he's had the opportunity to work with local communities in the past in enhancing the importance of technical education across our great state, and now in his role here at TCAT Murfreesboro, Middle Tennessee. So with that intro, there's a little bit of a resume there. Let's have you share, what is it about Patrick that we don't know? So what are your guiding values? Who are you as a person? So the things that we don't necessarily find on a resume.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Lemon, for this opportunity. Probably the biggest thing is Patrick loves people. I'm a people pleaser. I love to make sure everybody is having fun. Everybody is having a great mood. I am setting up for greatness. And that is probably the biggest value that I have. I want to leave everybody encouraged when I have opportunity to be with them. A motto that I live by is you never know what people are going through and how my story can potentially influence them towards greatness. So that is something that I really look forward to on my daily interactions. We're talking about failing forward. This is a perfect segue for Patrick Wade because I have failed many times. However, those failures have really, really prepared me for where I am today. So I'm thankful for this opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, well, I think I've picked a good person to sit down and talk with me because it's the personal story that really makes this podcast so interesting for folks, and learning that you're not alone in thinking about failure and learning from that. So excited to hear some of your reflections today. So again, one of the biggest themes from this book is the idea of transparency. So I appreciate you, being honest with us today, open with us today, and sharing your reflections on personal failure. Before we do that, though, take a minute and tell me how you define the term failure, because that obviously is personal for folks, but also can change over time, and maybe that's changed for you.
Of course, so failure to me is not meeting an expectation or outcome that you set forth to get or do. That has definitely changed over time because when I was younger, if I failed or if I came up short, I wanted to hide and not let everybody know about it. However, the older I get, I have so many different learning experiences. I've learned so much from my failures or coming up short because what that has done is it has helped me as I come up against adversity or I come up against opportunities. Guess what? I can share a really good life story and a factual story about how I didn't make it. So that really builds influence, and that builds folks around me, that trust that they can open up, because failure sometimes is just about fear, of not having that outcome. So of course it's changed over time. Probably my biggest one, and we'll probably get to this question, but when I was at Tennessee Tech, I made a 6 on my physics exam. And I'll tell you, when I made that 6, I didn't want to share with anybody because I didn't want people to start judging me based on my 6. But I'll tell you now, that really allows me to help connect with students as I talk to them about grading and how that one grade will not determine your outcome in life. So of course, over time, it has totally changed. I love sharing my failures. I love sharing my successes because that's what makes Patrick.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you're open to that with the storytelling you do with students. So let's lean into that example that you talked about as a Tennessee Tech student in the 6 and trying to figure out, did somebody help you work through what that means, or did you just have this inner kind of drive, perseverance to kind of work that out? I mean, when you think back as a student, how did you process that? And then what are the lessons from that you can share with others?
Well, I'll tell you, Dr. Lemming, so when I made the 6, it was 8 questions on the exam. So when I first got the grade back, I thought I made a 6 out of 8. So I was proud of that until the guy in front of me with the curve made a 96. So of course I hid my grade. I put my hand over my grade and I just walked out and just walked to the advisor and said, I need to change my major. So what that did is, of course, didn't want to talk about it, embarrassed about it because, unfortunately your friends, or people that you're just, they can judge you based on your grade. So I didn't want to be known as the unsmart person or the person that's not going to be the engineer. So I just avoided that conversation, made a joke about it. Engineering is not for me. Let me go to finance because I love talking about money. Now, that I'm in my professional career, I tell every student about me making a 6. And the reason why, like I said before, that does not dictate, where you're going to go in life. So what you have to do is be prepared. I look back at taking physics. I really didn't want to be an engineer. I did it because I wanted to please people around me, wanted to please my family, wanted to please my community, and I wanted to be known as the person who had it all together. But I did not do what I truly had in my heart to do, which was education, because I allowed people to talk me away from it. So I think a lot of that was I got into something that I really didn't want to get into. I made all the decisions based on others besides myself. So now when I talk about it, that is my story. That's how I connect with students on a daily basis. So when they come to a TCAT, I'm like, hey, why are you choosing this? Let's talk. Let's just break it down. Why are you wanting to be a welder? Why are you wanting to be a nurse? Let's talk about that. So that 6 is something that was a very embarrassing and failing moment for me. But now that is probably the biggest conversation I have now that I'm in my professional career.
Yeah, you can connect it very, very well. Well, so that's an interesting point that I don't know that any of my interviewees so far have really discussed or shared, and I'd like to maybe use you as an example. So, there's lots of conversations around kind of career and purpose, and even as an adult, we still struggle with a sense of identity and purpose, as we get older. So one of the things that I've always kind of wrestled with is, we've got these young, maybe recent high school grads who don't truly know all the different options that are available to them for a possible career and a path forward. And so they really kind of struggle to figure that out, and a lot of times do fall into a major just because they know someone who's doing that, and it seems like it's familiar enough that they are okay with it. Talk about the process that you went through to figure out how you needed to change your academic focus. And then as you went through that, now you're in education. That wasn't your undergrad degree, right? So again, how that might have shifted as you thought more long-term about, like your master's degree and things like that.
Absolutely. So, when I was younger, again, like I said, that a lot of the decisions that I made was based on others. It was never sitting down and asking Patrick, what does Patrick truly want to be and what does Patrick truly want to do? Because, as young people, and I know exactly where they are coming from, you make decisions based on, are you going to be labeled as a successful person, that you have it all together, and that no old person is going to ask you questions about your future? Because that is probably the number one question that young people hate to get asked. What are you going to do next? So I came up with a valid response that was spot on and perfect. I chose engineering for 3 reasons. 1, because they told me I could make a lot of money. 2, I love to play video games. And 3, it sounded really good when I was a senior in high school. So that is the reason why I chose engineering. So I got there, made the 6, then chose the finance. And I chose finance because I like money, and so I really didn't do that digging into. But one thing that I always go back to, from K through 12, I missed 3 days of school. And in high school, I had perfect attendance. Now, was I a 4.0 student? Absolutely not. But I was a social butterfly, and I loved the education environment. So as I'm talking to young people, as they make those decisions about what they want to do in life, number 1, knowledge is key. You have to get out and you have to understand all of the opportunities that are out there for you. Next, you have to find your passion. What are you passionate about? What is it, the thing that you can get up every single day, enjoy what you do, and if you didn't get paid for it, I would still be doing that. Mine is talking to people. If I didn't get paid, I would still talk to people because I absolutely love it. So now I have a job where I get to talk to people, talk to students, talk to faculty, talk to staff, talk to the community, and I absolutely love it. So as young people are looking at that career exploration, knowledge is key. Understand everything that's out there to be offered. And then next is really, what do you have a passion for? What is that passion? What are you passionate about on a daily basis?
And if you're an adult, right? Because you get into something and then you figure out maybe 10, 20 years down the road, even, maybe I'm tired of doing this, want to rethink my passion some way. There's a way for you to come back.
Yes, it is. Tennessee Reconnect. I think that's what we're talking about, right? Tennessee Reconnect. So, of course, like I tell people that I have an opportunity to talk about TCAT, it's never too early to make your mind or your decision up, and it's never too late to make your mind or decision up. The biggest key in life, and I get this the older that I get, quality of life. What is it that you dream about, when you're laying in bed? What is it that your mind keeps going back to when you're just going out through your daily routine? So Tennessee Reconnect, is not only for, young adults coming, but it's for older individuals that want to get to to change their career. That is A-okay, because if you have a passion for it and you love what you do, my goodness, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right. So you've come up through the ranks, so to speak, right, in higher ed, and now you're in your first month, right? Are we still in the first month?
So I'm into the second. Can you believe that?
Second month already.
Yeah, I'm 1 month, 2 days. So.
Okay, great. So 2 months in as being a president. So one of the things I'm really interested in hearing you talk about is, as you reflect back on your professional career and moving through those different positions, what are some of the maybe mistakes? I say that maybe they're not as consequential, right? But maybe some of the bigger things that happened in your career that you feel at this point as you enter into a presidency are kind of preparing you for this role and the things that you've learned from already.
So, definitely is never burning a bridge. You never know the person that you have the altercation with, the disagreement with, that you will cross their paths again later in life. That has happened to me numerous times. So that's one reason why whenever I meet somebody or I talk to somebody or have opportunity to work with people, is never want to burn a bridge, because you never know when that person is going to be across the table from you in an interview, and you don't want to freeze, because you have a good story or a good connection with those people. And also treating everybody nice. Because, they always say, and I might get this quote wrong, but it's not what you say, but it's not what you say, but it's how you make people feel. Always want to leave people encouraged. So when they see me again, it's like, oh man, that's Patrick Wade. That dude made me feel good the last time I talked to him. So now we have an opportunity to work on a project. The ice is already broken. So we can just get to work and get to our deliverables and also our expectations. So definitely those are some things that, as I grow and get prepared for this position, that's helped me out.
Yeah. What kind of role have mentors played in your life as you think about how you maybe processed a failure? Was there someone you talked to, a confidant, or as you were maybe struggling with something, someone that you maybe talked to? I mean, did you have someone like that in your life?
That's weird that you would say that. Growing up, my dad was my confidant. However, he was a disciplinarian. So it was one of those things I could only say so much before he said, "Hey, boy, do it this way." But the older I get now, I really look for people that are open up to me about their life. It's hard to listen to somebody or take advice from somebody that hasn't been there. That's just what it is. So the people that have mentored me or the people that I look up towards, they have been there. They have crossed that bridge. They are vulnerable enough to talk about that failure, to kind of help me out and spur me along towards the moment, because it's only a moment, to get through it and prepare for the next moment. So definitely, younger, it's hard to talk because you have the S on your chest. Superman, but the older you get, it's like, you know what, man, I'm vulnerable. Let's just be real. Let's cut through all the fluff, so we can get to where we really are.
Yeah. Is there a time when you felt you didn't push yourself hard enough because of maybe you just didn't have the confidence or courage to take something on, or maybe you're not that type of person? I don't know, but I mean, have you had those moments?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That is younger. I was always scared of failure, because of the fear of how I would look to my peers and the people around me. So definitely, there was always times that that I did not take that risk, because I could not understand how that risk could have been a reward in the long run. Look back now, I wish I would have bought a house, when I was in college. So now, could have owned a house, but I was like, you know what? Nope, I'd rather rent. That's just a good example. Or, I'm not ready for that position. I'm not ready to go work on my master's. I'm not ready to get more information about whatever it may be. So totally, that's been something that has been my way in the past.
Yeah. As I listen to you talk, there's a lot around values that I'm hearing from your responses. So when you think about your personal values, there's alignment here in how you've approached situations. What are some other kind of values that you hold that maybe have helped you work through failure?
Transparency, being totally transparent. I always like to say, take the ball out of your court and put it somewhere else. Don't hold on to that ball. Go ahead and be transparent where you are. Accountability, the ability to account for anything that you do. Honesty, so your word is everything. So if you say something, try your best to make sure that you can execute it. And then finally, servant mentality. I believe in serving people. That is what I'm here for. That is something that, when I leave this earth, that dash they talk about, I want people to say, man, Patrick was a good person. Patrick helped people around him. Patrick, we wanted to invite Patrick to this event, because we know that Patrick is going to bring a certain type of energy, and not to sound arrogant or anything, but I always love to leave people with a P-Wade experience. That's what I always call it, because that is just something that I know, in my darkest times in my life, that one word of encouragement pushed me through. And so that is something when I'm in the store, I always make sure I ask, how are you doing? That is just something for them to know that everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. One of the other things that some of the other interviewees that I've sat down with have talked about is how things sometimes that feel like a failure just resulted in an unexpected surprise of some sort, right? Like you thought you were going down one path and then all of a sudden it's not that, but this might even be better and I hadn't even thought about that. Have you had a moment like that? Something you want to share?
Yes. Hindsight is always 20/20, right? So when you look back, and probably when you look at promotions and you look at, the next big move, I look at it now, I'm a president, I love what I do. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be president of TCAT Murfreesboro, but the one thing is now I'm ready. I can truly say that I am ready based on all of my experiences that I've had in the past. So was I ready a year ago? Probably, but now I know I'm ready today. 5 years ago, was I ready? Probably, but now I know I'm ready. So I think it's all about timing. People always ask, what is that one thing that you would change in your life today? I would change nothing, because you change one instance in your life, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want to jeopardize that, because I love where I am today. I think I have a lot of stories to share with people. I have a lot of failures to share with people, successes, good times, great times, bad times. So I wouldn't change one thing. So that is something that I hold dear to me.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just about fit too, right? And,
That is correct.
you don't know what you don't know.
That's right. That's right.
You might be in a better place in the end anyway, right? Sometimes you
Yes.
can hear what some other people have gone through and you're like, whew, I avoided a situation there.
That is correct.
Well, so we've had some really good conversation around values and decision making. You sound like a real resilient kind of person. You bounce back pretty easily. Is that a fair statement, you think?
It's fair, but I'll tell you, just like I'm just like anybody else. I get knocked off of my horse. I struggle, but it's one of those things of minimizing that time, that you're feeling sorry for yourself, and then figuring out what have you learned from that experience, so you can go to that next moment.
Mm-hmm. When you're struggling with a student, let's say a student's struggling and you're trying to figure out, how can I help them? What are the things that you lean into?
Number one, I listen. Mm-hmm. I just want to have two ears and just listen to what they're saying. Let them go ahead and just spill out everything that's on their mind. And then I'll ask for the opportunity. Can I tell you a story? So the more you listen, the more things that just go through your head, those scenarios, those examples that go through your head. So I like to listen, and then when I have that chance of where they're just like, oh, perfect. So can I share something with you? It may help you out. So I just love to share with this is just a Patrick moment of what I went through and how I overcame it. So that's something that I like to do. I love to do with students is listen and then try to come up with some examples that are very tangible.
Yeah. Well, and the author reminds us of the quote, those who don't remember the past are condemned to repeat it, right? So if you can share some of your past experience, hopefully that helps somebody else to not repeat that same mistake.
That's right. And, since we're in education, I think the biggest thing is picking the right major, is just making sure you're picking something for yourself. Know the reason why you're picking what you're picking, you're choosing, because that's your career. That's what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life, hopefully. Mm-hmm. However, if you make that decision and it's not what you want, to know that it's not the right decision and create a plan to get to where you need to be. Surround yourself with great people, people that are smarter than you, more intelligent than you. I think that is very helpful. Be a totally accountable person and also a transparent person.
Yeah, great. All right, so we're getting close to the end of our time, but I want you to think about if you were to give some final words of wisdom to our listeners, what is the thing that you hope they take away from, I guess, a lesson that you've learned about failure and how to overcome that?
That don't look at failure as a negative. Take it for what it's worth. It didn't work out, but life hopefully is continuing on. So how can you take that failure and use it for your benefit? Things that we go through or the failures that happen to us, it is very important to know, that it's a reason why it worked out the way that it did. So don't look at failure as a negative thing. Look at it as a positive. Try to spin it. I know that's very cliche, but I think that's the truth. So what did you learn from it? How can you use what you learned, and how can you use it for your benefit to help others in the future?
Yeah, well, I think you're a great role model for students, sharing your stories, being transparent. Excited to hear in the future all the things that you're going to accomplish as a president in this new role. And
yes, well, I'll tell you, Dr. Lemming, I'm very fortunate because Murfreesboro has some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful folks. We have an excellent faculty, we have excellent staff, and I have had a chance to meet with them. And what I've seen continually is a lot of our values line up. They have a servant mentality. They are there to serve students. They're there to serve each other. They're also there to serve the community. So I'm looking forward to joining them and seeing great things happen out of TCAT Murfreesboro and Smyrna.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you so much for your time today, sharing a little bit about your experiences, and best of luck to you in your new role.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lemming.
Thank you for listening to this edition of From the VC's Bookshelf, brought to you by TBR, the College System of Tennessee, powering the state's economy. and changing the lives of thousands of graduates, starting successful careers each year. To learn more about upcoming book selections or to register to attend discussions live, visit tbr.edu/bookshelf.